Hello, my name is Tyler Jeffries, co-founder and president of Hookin Veterans. I grew up in a small town in Florida called Zephyr Hills. Some of my greatest memories growing up was playing baseball with my friends and most of all, my brother. I graduated from Zephyr Hills High School in 2007. In the years after graduating, I felt the urge to want to do more, not only for myself, but for others. I wanted to do something that would give myself a career, but also something that would make my family proud. In January 2010, I joined the United States Army. Before signing my enlistment papers, I knew I wanted to be in the fight and be in the action somewhere where I could make a difference, the infantry. Being a United States infantryman in many ways molded me into the man I am today. I joined the Army, I'm sure like many others, in search of honor and glory, knowing that if I did fall in battle, my name would live on. It wasn't until the bullets started flying when you realize it's not about honor and glory, it's about the guy next to you. With this combat role comes a certain pride few would truly understand. The pride of the infantryman comes not from knowing that we are doing a job that others can't, but that we are doing a job that others simply won't. In early 2012, my unit was deployed to Afghanistan. This being my first deployment, I would be lying if I said I wasn't a bit nervous. We all were aware of what could possibly happen to us and the job we were there to do. All that mattered was making sure the guy standing next to you made it home. Some of my best memories in life were on deployment with my brothers. I would go back and do it all again if I could. October 6, 2012, while deployed to Afghanistan, my life was forever changed. I was on a dismounted patrol setting up an observation point on a village we took contact from regularly. Shortly after setting our gun teams into position, I was hit by a command-aware IED, meaning the enemy had eyes on us, and when I was in the right spot, they pressed a button to detonate the bomb that was under me. I remember opening my eyes about 10 seconds later. I was lying on my back with everyone screaming my name, not knowing what had happened or why they were all yelling at me. As I was getting dragged out of the immediate blast area, I slowly was able to lift my head and look down to see the extent of the damage that was done to me. I saw my legs mangled and pieces of them scattered around me. I put my head back on the ground, looking up to the sky, thinking in that moment, my life was over, and that is where my story would end. Luckily, my brothers were not going to allow this to happen. Sergeant Cunningham was the first one to make it to me. He was in the back of the patrol that day, and like a scene from a movie, when the explosion went off, you see him full sprint, running through the debris and smoke past everyone to get to me as fast as possible. Sergeant Blair was about 10 foot behind me when the bomb went off. He was blown back, and I'm sure he caught a bit of shrapnel and was dazed and confused. But he quickly recovered and got to me as fast as possible to assist Sergeant Cunningham and others in patching me up. We were in such a bad position the choppers were unable to get to us. It took 55 minutes to get me completely patched up and into position to where I could be placed on the chopper. I was awake for all of this. After I was placed on the chopper, everything went black. A few days later, I woke up in the ICU at Walter Reed Military Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland. At this moment, I was able to fully understand my injuries and what I had lost. I quickly sank into a bad state of mind. I felt trapped in my own mind. I was depressed and mad at the world. I found myself staring at the wall, not knowing if I still had a place in this world. I didn't want to be around anyone or even be seen by anyone because I was ashamed of the way I looked not being in a wheelchair with no legs. Almost 2 months later, I was invited on a deep-sea fishing trip down in the Keys with other wounded veterans from the hospital. At first, I didn't want to go. I thought this was an activity I was no longer able to do being in a wheelchair, but with some words of encouragement from another veteran, I attended the trip. That trip changed my life forever. I found myself on a boat on the ocean with 5 other veterans hurt just as bad or even worse than me. Something about being on the water with your brothers in arms, sharing that experience changed something in me. This being my first time on a boat on the ocean, I remember looking out to the horizon and just an overwhelming force of peace and clarity come over me. Seeing the smiling faces and the joy of all the guys on the trip gave me a peace of mind I didn't know I needed. We did 2 days of fishing and all went out to dinner together, rolling down the sidewalks in our wheelchairs, not caring who saw us or what they thought. We were all proud of what we had given up and the scars we now had. After that trip, I found myself back at Walter Reed, but with a different mindset. I felt motivated and ready to work. No longer was I going to feel sorry for myself or make excuses. I had my bad days, sure, but with the help of my fellow veterans, I was able to overcome them. The overall experience of that fishing trip with other veterans who shared similar trials and tribulations changed me forever. This trip helped give me the confidence and attitude I needed to live life and to be there for my friends and family. I knew right then and there I wanted others to experience what I had. If they got even a portion of what I got from this trip, that would be a win. I met Joseph Buccini, everyone knows him as Booch, many years ago on a Salute to the Troops event held by the Gary Sinise Foundation in Las Vegas. The first time we met, we must have talked for hours. He was in the Army as well. He was a door gunner on a Chinook helicopter in Afghanistan the same time I was there. When I first got to Afghanistan, my platoon had to be transported by a helicopter to our platoon base because of how far away and remote it was. I remember getting on the chopper, looking over to this guy, manning the 50 cal machine gun. Immediately, his flight mask caught my eye. It was painted with a white skull. I remember thinking, man, that mask looked awesome, and where can I get one of those? While Booch and I were talking, he showed me a picture of himself in Afghanistan wearing this mask. In that moment, I think we both realized we were going to be great friends. Soon after that trip, Booch invited me to go on a hunting trip. Little did I know this was no ordinary hunting trip. We were hunting hogs out of a helicopter in Texas with an organization called Helicopters for Heroes. I think Booch was trying to give me a little taste of his world, you know, him being a door gunner on a Chinook. To this day, I'm not sure who the better shot was that day. During that trip, Booch and I were invited to go on a fishing trip in Florida. On that trip is where we met Colby Briggs. Right away, Booch and I knew he shared our sense of patriotism, our love of this great nation, our military and its veterans. It was on this trip I told them my story and about the first fishing trip I went on with other veterans, what it meant to me, and my interest in trying to give that experience to my fellow veterans. Without hesitation, Colby and Booch both looked me right in the eye and said, "Let's do it." To this day, Booch and Colby remain two of the best men I know. There are no two others I'd rather be on this journey with. I have the utmost respect and admiration for both of you. Thank you for all you do and continue to do for our nation's veterans. Hookin Veterans brings injured veterans from all over the United States together for a one-of-a-kind offshore fishing experience. An old saying goes, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Our veterans learn everything they need to know in order to take these skills home to their friends and family, giving them a hobby or a newfound passion they can then share with others. Our trips are designed to be fun, relaxing, and in some ways soothing to the soul. This being said, Hookin Veterans is not about catching fish. It's about heroes being remembered and heroes being honored, allowing them to kindle new bonds with brothers in arms, giving them an experience they will remember forever. Catching fish is just a bonus. So far, we have shared this one-of-a-kind experience and changed the lives of 50-plus veterans. We hope to far exceed this over the next few years with more trips. All Hookin Veterans has done so far couldn't have been possible without some true American patriots in our corner that share our vision in helping our nation's heroes, giving them an experience they deserve and will never forget. As President Ronald Reagan once said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. The mission of Hookin Veterans is simple, to connect an ever-growing community of veterans and their families through a weekend of camaraderie and deep-sea fishing. Since most veterans claim to miss the bond of brotherhood that serving in the armed forces forges, Hookin Veterans' goal is to help them reconnect with other service members and reestablish this bond in an effort to combat the increase in veteran suicide. At Hookin Veterans, we provide through our generous donors an all-expense-paid weekend fishing trip that is designed to be fun, relaxing, and full of respite that all need and benefit from, but we cannot do it alone. Your support gives our nation's heroes a new lease on life. It provides a much-needed opportunity to reconnect with their battle buddies by experiencing a unique deep-sea fishing trip, and it has already made a difference. It means the world to guys like me to fulfill a dream, heal emotionally and physically, and get back to the business of life. I'll leave you with one quote told to me by a dear friend, Brandon McMillan, years ago after being blown up. It was something I needed to hear and changed my life. One day, your life will flash before your eyes. Make sure it's worth watching.